6 Characters in Search of an Author. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, our entire operation, to include tonight's performance, is conducted from completely quarantine conditions. All rehearsals and all work done behind the scenes to present tonight's play was conducted with no face-to-face interactions. It should be noted that all of our productions are plays that are either in the public domain or that we have obtained the rights to perform. We believe that as a theater community that we have a responsibility to respect the rights of authors. Players Planning Group, the Pandemic Players Community. We solicit from auditions and request volunteer help in that forum. While the general public are invited to attend our virtual performances free of charge, donations are accepted to aid theaters in the greater Baltimore area that have suffered economic impact from the COVID-19 situation. Pandemic Players itself is completely self-funded. We supply our own equipment and fund our own server space. Instead, we ask that our audience, if they are able to donate to a local theater that needs help to still be there when normalcy returns to the world. Each week, our volunteers nominate and vote on a theater to support with each new production. Tonight, we are raising money to support our friends at Fells Point Corner Theater. They are a staple of Baltimore, presenting diverse, challenging, and entertaining theater to their community through a combination of acclaimed contemporary plays, Baltimore premieres, and time-tested favorites, as well as the works of local playwrights. They are committed to creating and maintaining artistic spaces which are welcome to all, and we are committed to doing what we can to help them maintain that space during this time. While you are free to view tonight's performance, we ask that a donation be made if possible. We recommend that a donation be made of $20, which is the average cost of a ticket to locally produced theater in the area. But we thank you for anything that you are willing to give. To make donations easy, you can find a link on our public Facebook page, Pandemic Players, and we will have web links that we can make available during the YouTube stream to help you find out where to go. The Board of Pandemic Players extends a very heartfelt thank you to all of tonight's performers, the volunteers, donors, and supporters for choosing to take part in this effort. Your actions help us to bring hope to the community. Tonight, everything will not be perfect. If it were perfect, we would all be on stage, and we would not have to take any of the extraordinary measures that we have took to make sure that on this Saturday evening, live theater is still happening. But tonight, we do bring you a story about stories, about what is real, what is construct, and the power of theater to find new ways to express ideas. Luigi Pirandello's 6 Characters in Search of an Author.
You are now entering conference, pandemic online rehearsal for mixing it up. Please mute your microphone if observing.
I can't see. Let me turn on a light.
Ready?
Come along. Second act of mixing it up.
Leo Galla's house. A curious room serving as a dining room and study.
I need a red room. Can you share your design screen, please?
And set. All right.
Table already laid and writing desk with books and papers. Bookshelves. Exit rear to Leo's bedroom. Exit left to kitchen. Principal exit to right.
Well, you understand. Principal exit over there. Here, the kitchen. You make your entrances and exits here. Properties, baize door at the rear and curtains.
When the curtain rises, Leo Gala, dressed in cook's cap and apron, is busy beating another egg. Guido Venzani is seated and listening.
Excuse me, but must I absolutely wear a cook's cap?
I imagine so. It says so right here, anyway.
But it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous? Ridiculous. Is it my fault if France won't send us any more good comedies and we're reduced to putting on Pirandello's works where nobody understands anything and where the author plays the fool with us all? Yes, sir, you put on the cook's cap and beat eggs. Do you suppose with all this egg beating business you're on an ordinary stage? Get that out of your head. You represent the shell of the eggs you are beating.
Not now, honey. Mommy's in a Zoom rehearsal.
Silence. Listen to my explanations, please. The empty form of reason without the fullness of instinct, which is blind. You stand for reason, your wife is instinct. It's a mixing up of the parts, according to which you who act your own part become the puppet of yourself. Do you understand?
I'm hanged if I do.
Neither do I. But let's get on with it. It's sure to be a glorious failure anyway. But I say, please face your camera. Otherwise, what with the abstruseness of the dialogue and the public that won't be able to hear you, the whole thing will go to hell. Come on, come on.
Pardon, ma'am. May I close my window? There's a bit of a draft.
Yes, yes, of course.
Excuse me, ma'am?
Yeah, what is it?
These people are trying to enter the room.
I'm rehearsing, and you know perfectly well no one's allowed to come in during rehearsals. Stop sharing screen. Well, bring them in. Who are you, please, and what do you want?
Well, as a matter of fact, we have come here in search of an author.
What author? An author?
Any author, sir.
But there's no author here. We're not rehearsing a new piece.
So much the better, so much the better. We can be your new piece.
Oh, do you hear that?
Ah, yes, but if the author isn't here, unless you would be willing.
You're trying to be funny.
Well, no, for heaven's sake, what are you saying? We bring you a drama, sir.
We may be your fortune.
Will you oblige me by going away? We haven't got time to waste with mad people.
Oh, sir. You know full well that life is full of infinite absurdities, which strangely enough do not even need to appear plausible, since they are true.
What the devil is he talking about?
I say that to reverse the ordinary process may well be considered a madness, that is, to create credible situations in order that they may appear true. But permit me to observe that if this be madness, it is the sole raison d'etre of your profession, gentlemen.
So our profession seems to you one worthy of madmen, then?
Well, to make seem true that which isn't true, without any need for jokes, as it were. Isn't that your mission, gentlemen, to give life to fantastic characters on the stage?
But I would beg you to believe, my dear sir, that the profession of the comedian is a noble one. If today, as things go, the playwrights give us stupid comedies to play and puppets to represent instead of men, remember that we are proud to have given life to immortal works here on these very boards.
Exactly. Perfectly, to living beings more alive than those who breathe and wear clothes, being less real perhaps, but truer. No, I agree with you entirely.
But what do you mean? Before you said...
No, excuse me. I meant for you, sir, who were crying out that you had no time to lose with madmen, while no one better than yourself knows that nature uses the instrument of human fantasy in order to pursue her high creative purpose.
Very well, but where does this take us?
Nowhere. It is merely to show you that one is born to life in many forms, in many shapes, as tree, or as stone, as water, as butterfly, or as woman. So one may also be born a character in a play.
So you and these other friends of yours have all been born characters?
Exactly. And as alive as you see. Well, I am sorry you laugh, because we carry in us a drama, as you can guess from this woman here veiled in black.
Oh, chuck it. Get away from here, please. Clear out of here. But for heaven's sake, turn them out.
No, look here. No, we
come here to work, you know.
One cannot let oneself be made such a fool of.
I marvel at your incredulity, gentlemen. Are you not accustomed to see the characters you created by an author spring to life in yourselves and face each other? Just because there is no book which contains us, you refuse to believe that...
Give me. We are 6 most interesting characters, ma'am. Sidetracked, however.
Ah, yes, that is the word. In the sense, that is, that the author who created us alive no longer wished or was no longer able materially to put us in a work of art. And that was a real crime, sir. Because he who has had the luck to be born a character can laugh even at death. He cannot die. The man, the writer, the instrument of the creation will die, but his creation does not die. And to live forever, it does not even need to have extraordinary gifts or to be able to work wonders. Who was Sancho Panza? Who was Don Abandillo? Yet they live eternally because, live germs, as it were, they had the fortune to find a fecundating matrix, a fantasy which could raise and nourish them, make them live forever.
That's quite all right, but what do you want here, all of you?
We want to live.
For eternity?
No, sir, only for a moment. In you.
Just listen to him.
They want to live in us.
Well, I've no objection as far as that one is concerned.
Look here. The comedy has to be made. But if you and your actors are willing, we can soon concert it among ourselves.
But what do you want to concert? We don't go in for concerts here. Here we play comedies and dramas.
Exactly. That is just why we have come to you.
And where is the book?
Well, it is in us. The drama is in us, and we are the drama. We are impatient to play it. Our inner passion drives us on this.
My passion, sir. If only you knew my passion for him.
You behave yourself. And please don't laugh in that fashion.
With your permission, gentlemen, I, who am 2 months orphan, will show you how I sing. Prenegada ciucincio, leșin oasonton più bla, malendiscengae pekim, ils ont écrit tout partout, prenegada ciucincio.
This isn't a cafe concert, you know. Is she mad?
Mad? She's worse than mad.
Worse. Listen, stage this drama for us at once. Then you will see that at a certain moment when this little darling here, isn't she a dear? Darling. When God suddenly takes this dear little child away from that poor mother there, and this imbecile here does the stupidest thing, like the fool he is, you will see me run away. Yes, gentlemen, I shall be off. But the moment hasn't arrived yet. After what has taken place between him and me, I can't remain any longer in the society to have to witness the anguish of this mother here for that fool. Look at him. I can't remain any longer. No, see how indifferent, how frigid he is, because he is a legitimate son. He despises me and despises him, despises this baby here because we are bastards. And he doesn't want to recognize her as his mother, she who is the common mother of us all. He looks down upon her as if she were only the mother of us three bastards. Wretch.
Oh, in the name of these little children, I beg you. Oh, God. Oh, God.
Quick, a chair for this poor widow.
Is she okay?
No,
Does she really think?
look at her. Look at her.
No, stop it, please.
Let them see you.
No, I beg you, man, to prevent this man from carrying out his plan that is so loathsome to me.
I don't understand at all. What is the situation? Is this lady your wife?
Yes, gentlemen, my wife.
But how can she be a widow if you are alive?
No, don't laugh. Don't laugh like that. For heaven's sake. Her drama lies just here in this. She has had a lover. A man who ought to be here.
No.
Fortunately for her, he is dead. 2 months ago, as I said. We are in mourning, as you see.
See, he isn't here, you see, not because he is dead. He isn't here. Look at her a moment and you will understand, because her drama isn't a drama of the love of two men for whom she was incapable of feeling anything, except possibly a little gratitude. Gratitude not for me, but for the other. She isn't a woman, she is a mother. And her drama, powerful, sir, I assure you, lies in, a matter of fact, in all these 4 children, by which she has had by 2 men.
Had them? Have you got the courage to say that I wanted them? It was his doing. It was he who gave me the other man, who forced me to go away with him.
It isn't true.
Not true, isn't it?
No, it isn't true. It just isn't true.
And what can you know about it?
It isn't true. Don't believe it. Do you know why she said so? For that fellow there, she tortures herself, destroys herself on account of the neglect of that son there. And she wants him to believe that if she abandoned him when he was only 2 years old, it was because he made her do so.
He forced me to do it. And I call God to witness it. If it isn't true, ask him if it isn't true. Let him speak. You are not in the position to know anything about it.
I know you lived in peace and happiness with my father while he lived. Can you deny it?
No, I don't deny it.
He was always full of affection and kindness for you. It's true, isn't it? Tell them. Why don't you speak, you little fool?
Oh, leave the poor boy alone. Why do you want me to make me appear ungrateful, daughter? I don't want to offend your father. I have answered him that I didn't abandon my house and my son through any fault of mine, nor from any willful passion.
It is true. It was my doing.
What a spectacle.
We are the audience this time.
For once, in a way.
Let's hear them out. Listen.
Oh, yes, you're gonna hear a fine bit now. He'll talk you to the demon of experiment.
You are a cynical imbecile. I've told you so already 100 times. Now, he tries to make fun of me on account of this expression, which I have found to excuse myself with.
Yes, phrases. Phrases.
Phrases! Isn't everyone consoled when faced with a trouble or a fact he doesn't understand by a word, some simple word which tells us nothing and yet calms us?
Even in the case of remorse. In fact, especially then.
Remorse? No, that isn't true. No, I've done more than use words to quieten the remorse in me.
Yes, there was a bit of money too. Yes, a bit of money. There were the 100 lira he was about to offer me in payment, gentlemen.
This is vile.
Vile? They were there in a pale blue envelope on a little mahogany table in the back of Madame Pache's shop. You know Madame Pache, one of those ladies who attract poor girls of good family into their ateliers under the pretext of their selling robes et manteaux.
And he thinks he's bought the right to tyrannize over all of us with those 100 lire he was going to pay, but which, fortunately, note this, gentlemen, he had no chance of paying.
It was a near thing, though, you know.
Shame, my daughter. Shame.
Shame indeed. This is my revenge. I am dying to live that scene. The room. I see it. Here in the window with little mantles exposed. There, the divan, the looking glass, a screen. There in front of the window, the little mahogany table with the blue envelope containing 100 lira. I see it. I see it. I could take hold of it. But you, gentlemen, you ought to turn your backs now. I am almost nude, you know. But I don't blush. I leave that to him.
I don't understand this at all.
Naturally enough. I would ask you, sir, to exercise your authority a little here and let me speak before you believe all she is trying to blame me with. Please, let me explain.
Ah, yes. Explain it in your own way.
But don't you see that the trouble lies here in words? Words. Each one of us has within him a whole world of things, each man of us his own special world. And how can we ever come to an understanding if I put in the words, I utter the sense and value of things as I see them, while you who listen to me must inevitably translate them according to the conception of things each one of you has within himself. We think we understand each other, but we never really do. Look here, this woman takes all my pity for her as a specially ferocious form of cruelty.
But you drove me away.
Oh, you drove? Do you hear? I drove her away. She believes I really sent her away.
You know how to talk, and I don't. But believe me, ma'am, after he had married me, who knows why, I was just a poor, insignificant woman.
But good heavens, it was just for your humility that I married you. I loved that simplicity in you. You see, she denies it. Her mental deafness, believe me, it is phenomenal. The limit. Just deaf. Deaf, mentally deaf. She has plenty of feeling. Oh, yes, a good heart for the children. But the brain, deaf. Deaf to the point of desperation.
Yes, but ask him how his intelligence has helped us.
No, if we could see all the evil that may spring from good, what should we do?
Excuse me, but are we going to rehearse today?
Of course, but let's hear them out.
This is something quite new.
Most interesting.
Yes, for the people who like that sort of thing.
You must explain yourself quite clearly.
Yeah, very well then. Listen. I had in my service a poor man, a clerk, a secretary of mine, full of devotion, who became friends with her. They understood one another, were kindred souls, in fact, without, however, even the least suspicious of any evil existing. They were incapable of even thinking it.
So he thought it for them.
That's not true. I meant to do good to them. And to myself, I confess, at the same time. Things had come to the point where I could not say a word to either of them without their making a mute appeal, one to the other with their eyes. I could see them silently asking each other how I was to be kept in countenance, how I was to be kept quiet. And this, believe me, was just about enough of itself to keep me in a constant rage, to exasperate me beyond measure.
And why didn't you send him away, then, this secretary of yours?
Precisely what I did, sir. And then I had to watch this poor woman drifting forlornly about the house like an animal without a master, like an animal one has taken in out of pity.
Yes.
It's true about the son, anyway.
He took my son. He took him away from me, first of all.
But not from cruelty. I did it so that he should grow up healthy and strong by living in the country.
As one can see.
Is it my fault he grew up like this? I sent him to a wet nurse in the country, a peasant, as she did not seem strong enough, though she is of humble origin. That was, anyway, the reason I married her. Unpleasant as all this may be, but how can it be helped? Not my mistake, possibly, but there we are. All my life, I have had these confounded aspirations toward a certain moral sanity. Oh, stop it! Stop it!
Please stop it, for heaven's sake.
Imagine moral sanity from him, if you please. The client of certain ateliers like that of Madame Pache.
You fool. That is proof that I am a man. This seeming contradiction, gentlemen, is the strongest proof that I stand here a living man before you. Why, it is just for this very incongruity of my nature that I have had to suffer what I have. I could not live by the side of that woman any longer, but not so much for the boredom she inspired in me, but as for the pity I felt for her.
And so he turned me out.
Well provided for. Yes. I sent her to that man, gentlemen, to let her go free of me.
And to free himself.
Yes, I admit it. It was also a liberation for me. But great evil has come from it. I meant well when I did it. I did it more for her sake than mine. I swear it. Did I ever lose sight of you until that other man carried you off to another town like the angry fool he was? And on account of my pure interest in you, my pure interest, I repeat, I had no base motive in it. I watched with the tenderest concern the new family that grew up around her. She can bear witness to this.
Oh yes, that's true enough. When I was a kiddie, so high, you know, with plaits over my shoulder and knickers longer than my skirts, I used to see him waiting outside the school for me to come out. He came to see how I was growing up.
Oh, this is infamous, shameful.
No, why?
Infamous, infamous. After she went away, my house suddenly seemed empty. She was my incubus, but she filled my house. I was like a dazed fly alone in the empty rooms. This boy here was educated away from home, and when he came back, he grew up. When he came back, he seemed to be no more mine. With no mother to stand between him and me, he grew up entirely for himself, on his own, apart, with no tie of intellect or affection binding him to me. And then, strange but true, I was driven by curiosity at first, and then by some tender sentiment toward her family, which had come into being through my own will. The thought of her began to gradually fill up the emptiness I felt all around me. I wanted to know if she were happy in living out the simple daily duties of life. I wanted to think of her as fortunate and happy, because far away from the complicated torments of my spirit. And so, to have proof of this, I used to watch that child coming out of school.
Yes, true. He used to follow me in the street and smiled at me, waved his hand like this. I would look at him with interest, wondering who he might be. I told my mother, who guessed at once. Then she didn't want to send me back to school for some days, and when I finally went back, there he was, looking so ridiculous with a paper parcel in his hands. He came close to me, caressed me, and drew out a fine straw hat from the parcel with a bouquet of flowers, all for me.
A bit discursive, this, you know.
Literature
Literature indeed. This is life. This is passion.
It may be, but it won't act.
Well, I agree. I mean, this is only the part leading up. I don't suggest that this should be the drama. She, as you see, is no longer the flapper with plaits down her back.
And the knickers showing below my skirts.
No, the drama is coming, sir, now. Something new, something complex, most interesting.
As soon as my father died.
Yes, there was absolute misery for them. They came back here unknown to me. Through her stupidity. No, it is true. She can barely write her own name. But she could anyhow have got her daughter to write to me that they were in need.
And how was I to divine all this sentiment in him?
That was exactly your mistake, never to have guessed any of my sentiments.
After so many years apart, and all that had happened.
Was it my fault that fellow carried you away? It happened quite suddenly, for he had obtained some job or other. I could find no trace of them. And so, not unnaturally, my interest in them dwindled. But the drama culminated unforeseen and violent on their return when I was imperiled by my miserable flesh that still lives. Oh, what misery, what wretchedness is that of the man who is alone and yet disdains debasing liaisons. Not old enough to do without women, and not young enough to go and look for one without shame. Misery? No, it's worse than a misery. It's a horror. For no woman can any longer give him love. And when a man feels this, oh, one ought to do without, you say? Oh, yes, yes, I know. Each of us appears before his fellows, is clothed in a certain dignity, but every man knows what unconfessable things pass within the secrecy of his own heart. One gives way to the temptation only to rise from it again afterwards with a great eagerness to reestablish one's dignity, as if it were a tombstone to place on the grave of one's shame and the monument to hide and sign the memory of our weakness. Everybody's in the same case. Some folk haven't the courage to say certain things, that's all.
All appear to have the courage to do them, though.
Yes, but in secret. Therefore, you want more courage to say these things? Oh, let a man but speak these things out, and folks at once label him a cynic. But it isn't true. He is like all the others, better indeed, because he isn't afraid to reveal within the light of intelligence the red shame of humanity, of human bestiality on which most men close their eyes so as not to see it. Woman. For example, look at her case. As she turns tantalizing, inviting glances on you, you seize her. No sooner does she feel herself within your grasp than she closes her eyes. It is the sign of her mission, the sign by which she says to man, "Blind yourself, for I am blind."
Sometimes she can close them no more, when she no longer feels the need of hiding her shame to herself, but dry-eyed and dispassionately sees only that of the man who has blinded himself with love. Oh, all these intellectual complications make me sick, disgust me. All this philosophy that uncovers the beast in man and then seeks to save him, excuse him, I can't stand it, ma'am. When a man seeks to simplify life bestially, throwing aside every relic of humanity, every chaste aspiration, every pure feeling, all sense of ideality, duty, modesty, shame, then nothing is more revolting and nauseous than a certain kind of remorse. Crocodile tears, that's what it is.
Let's come to the point. This is only discussion.
Yes, very good, sir. But a fact is like a sack which won't stand up when it is empty. In order that it may stand up, one has to put into it the reason and sentiment which have caused it to exist. I couldn't possibly know that after the death of that man, that they decided to return here, that they were in misery, and that she had gone to work as a modiste, and at a shop of the type of that of Madame Pache.
A real high-class modiste, you must know, gentlemen. In appearance, she works for the leaders of the best society, but she arranges matters so that these elegant ladies serve her purpose, without prejudice to other ladies who are, well, only so-so.
You will believe me, gentlemen, that it never entered my mind that old hag had offered me work because she had an eye on my daughter.
Poor mama. Do you know, ma'am, what that woman did to me when I brought her back the work my mother had finished? She would point out to me that I had torn one of my frocks, and she would give it back to mother to mend. It was I who paid for it always, while this poor creature here believed she was sacrificing herself for me and these two children here, setting up at night sewing Madame Page's robes.
And one day you met there.
Him. Yes, ma'am, an old client. There's a scene for you to play. Superb!
Well, the mother arrived just then.
Almost in time.
No, in time. In time. Now, fortunately, I recognized her in time. And I took them back with me to my house. You can imagine now her position and mine. She, as you see her, and I who cannot look her in the face.
Absurd! How can I possibly be expected, after that, to be a modest young miss, a fit person to go with his confounded aspirations of a solid moral sanity?
See, for the drama lies all in this, in the conscience that I have, that each one of us has. We believe this conscience to be a single thing, but it is many-sided. There is one for this person, another for that, diverse consciences. So we have this illusion of being one person for all, of having a personality that is unique in all our acts, but it isn't true. We perceive this when, tragically, perhaps in something we do, we are, as it were, suspended, caught up in the air on a kind of hook. Then we perceive that all of us was not in that act, and that it would be an atrocious injustice to judge us by that action alone, as if all our existence were summed up in that one deed. Now do you understand the perfidy of this girl? She surprised me in a place where she ought not to have known me. Just as I could not exist for her. And now she seeks to attach me to a reality such as I could never suppose I should have to assume for her. In a shameful and fleeting moment of my life, I feel this above all else. And the drama, you will see, acquires a tremendous value from this point. Then there is the position of the others. His.
Leave me alone. I don't come into this.
What? You don't come into this?
I've got nothing to do with it. And don't want to have, because you know well enough I wasn't made to be mixed up with the rest of you.
We are only vulgar folk. He is a fine gentleman. You may have noticed, Madam Manager, that I fix him every now and then with a look of scorn while he lowers his eyes. For he knows the evil he's done me. You! I owe my life on the streets to you. Did you or did you not deny us with your behavior, I won't say the intimacy of home, but even that mere hospitality which makes guests feel at their ease? No, we were intruders who had come to disturb the kingdom of your legitimacy. I should like to have you witness, Madam Manager, certain scenes between him and me. He says I have tyrannized over everyone, but it was just his behavior which made me insist on the reason for which I had to come into the house. This reason he calls vile, into his house, with my mother, who is his mother too. And I come as mistress of the house.
It's easy for them to put me always in the wrong. But imagine the position of a son, whose fate it is to see arrive one day at his home a young woman of impudent bearing, a young woman who inquires for his father, with whom he knows what business she has. This young man has then to witness her return, bolder than ever, accompanied by that child there. He's obligated to watch her treat his father in an equivocal and confidential manner. She asks of money of him in a way that lets one suppose that he must give it to her. Must, do you understand? Because he has every obligation to do so.
But I have, as a matter of fact, this obligation. I owe it to your mother.
And how should I know? When had I ever seen or heard of her? One day, they arrive with her, that lad and this baby here, and I am told, this is your mother too, you know. I divine from her manner. Why it is they have come home, I'd rather not say what I feel and think about it. I shouldn't even care to confess to myself. No action can therefore be hoped for me from this affair. Believe me, Madam Manager, I am an unrealized character, dramatically speaking, and I find myself not at all at ease in this company. Leave me out of it, I beg of you.
What? Is it just because you are so that...
How do you know what I'm like? When did you even bother your head about me?
I admit it. Now, I admit it, but isn't that a situation in itself? You know, this aloofness of yours, which is so cruel to me and to your mother, who returns home and sees you almost for the first time, grown up, who doesn't recognize you, but knows that you are her son. You see? She's crying.
Like a fool.
She can't stand him, you know. He says he doesn't come into the affair when really he is the hinge of the whole action. Look at that lad, which is almost always clinging to his mother, frightened and humiliated. It is on account of this fellow here. Possibly his situation is the most painful of all. You know, he feels himself a stranger more than others. This poor chap feels mortified, humiliated at being brought into a home out of charity, as it were. He is the image of his father. Hardly talks at all. Humble and quiet.
Oh, we'll cut him out. You've no notion what a nuisance boys are on the stage.
Well, he disappears soon, you know. And the baby, too. She is the first to vanish from the scene. The drama consists finally in this. When that mother re-enters my house, her family born outside of it, and shall we say, superimposed on the original, ends with the death of the little girl, the tragedy of the boy, and the flight of the elder daughter. It cannot go on, because it is foreign to its surroundings. So after much torment, we three remain. I, the mother, and the son. Then, owing to the disappearance of that extraneous family, we too find ourselves strange to one another. We find we are living in an atmosphere of mortal desolation, which is the revenge, as he scornfully said, of the demon of experiment that unfortunately hides in me. Thus, sir, you see, when faith is lacking, it becomes impossible to create certain states of happiness, for we lack the necessary humility. Vaingloriously, we try to substitute ourselves for this fate, creating thus for the rest of the world a reality which we believe after their fashion, while actually it doesn't exist. For each one of us has his own reality to be respected before God, even when it is harmful to one's very self.
There is something in what you say. I assure you all, this interests me very much. I begin to think there's the stuff for a drama in this, and not a bad drama either.
Well, when you've got a character like me.
You be quiet.
It's new. Yes.
Yes, absolutely new.
You've got a nerve, though, I must say, to come here and just fling it at me like this.
You will understand, sir, born as we are for the stage.
Are you amateur actors, then?
No. I say born for the stage because the...
Nonsense. You're an old hand, you know?
No, sir. No, we act that role for which we have been cast, that role which we are given in life. And in my own case, passion itself, as usually happens, becomes a trifle theatrical when it is exalted.
Well, that'll do. But you see, without an author, I could give you the address of an author if you like.
No, look here. No, you must be the author.
I? What are you talking about?
Yes, you. Why not?
Because I've never been an author, that's why.
Well, then why not turn author now? Everybody does it. Well, you don't want any special qualities? Your task is made much easier by the fact that we are all here alive before you.
It won't do.
What? When you see us live our drama.
Yes, that's all right, but you want someone to write it.
No. Someone to take it down, possibly while we play it scene by scene. No, it will be enough to sketch it out at first and then try it over.
Well, I'm almost tempted. It's a bit of an idea. One might have a shot at it.
No, of course. You'll see what scenes will come out of it. I can give you one at once.
By Jove, it tempts me. I'd like to have a go at it. Let's try it out. Come with me to my office. You all are at liberty for a bit, but don't stop out of the theater for long. In a quarter of an hour, 20 minutes. All back here again. We'll see what can be done. Who knows if we don't get something really extraordinary out of it.
There's no doubt in it. There's no doubt about it. No, they had better come with us too, hadn't they?
Yes. Come on. Be punctual, please.
Is she serious? What the devil does he want to do?
This is rank madness.
Does she really expect to knock up a drama in 5 minutes?
Like the improvisers.
She thinks I'm going to take part in a joke like this.
I'm out of it anyway.
I should like to know who they are.
What do you suppose, madmen or rascals?
And she takes them seriously.
Vanity. She fancies herself as an author already.
It's absolutely unheard of. If the stage has come to this, well,
It's rather a joke.
Well, we'll see what comes of it, what's going to happen next.
I'm sending everyone to their designated break rooms for their designated break.
Hello and welcome back with me in the patronage break room. This is the break room where we discuss patronage. Now here at the Pandemic Players, we do not require any funds for operation. We are entirely self-funded. But tonight we are presenting 6 characters in search of an author in support of our friends at Fells Point Corner Theater. If you could, we ask you to help them out as they are a brick and mortar theater company in Baltimore. They're a staple of their community, and they are looking to make sure that they are able to continue to pay their bills and to return to operation as soon as they are able to. We understand that this pandemic is presenting a difficult situation to several of the theater companies in the Baltimore community, and we also understand that as we work towards getting our communities back up to normal, that theaters are going to be one of the industries that are going to be hardest hit. So if you can, we ask that you make a donation to our friends at Fells Point Corner Theater. We have a direct link in the description page on our YouTube feed. And as I understand, several of you may be watching over a Roku device or some other streaming device on your television. If you go to our Pandemic Players Facebook page, you will there be able to find a direct link that is going to take you directly to where you can help support our friends at Fells Point Corner Theater. Again, we ask a donation of $20. We know that several people like to give more than that, and we also understand that several people are in a situation where they may not be able to donate at this time. If you are in that situation, we recommend that at the very least that you support that theater company on social media and let them know that they are going to be that you are going to be supporting them when they come back up into operation, and to, I think, for a theater company to know that they are going to have their seats filled with a loving community that they have that they've been able to develop around them would mean the world. So at this point, we're going to just pause for a quick second for those who would like to make a donation to do so. Of course, it is intermission. And what do we do at intermission? But we probably fill our wine glasses, same as we would do on any other Saturday night at the theater. So we're going to pause to give you a second to do that. And a warning to those of you with Amazon brand devices, I'm about to make them go absolutely bananas if you have them connected to your lights at home, because here we like to flicker the lights at the end of intermission, which I will be doing in my own home right now. Alexa, turn off basement. Alexa, turn on basement. Alexa, turn off basement. Alexa, turn on basement. And with that, we present the second and third acts of Luigi Pirandello's 6 Characters in Search of an Author.
Nonsense. Nonsense, do it yourselves. I am not going to mix myself up in this mess. Come on, Rosetta. Let's run. My little darling, you're frightened, aren't you? You don't know where we are, do you? What is the stage? It's a place, baby. You know, where people play at being serious. A place where they act comedies. We've got to act a comedy now. Dead serious, you know? And you're in it also, little one. Oh, darling. Darling, what a horrid comedy you've got to play. What a wretched part they found for you. A garden, a fountain. Look, just suppose Kitty is here. Where, you say? Why, right here in the middle. It's all pretense, you know. That's the trouble, my pet. It's all make-believe here. It's better to imagine it, though, because if they fix it up for you, it'll only be painted cardboard for the rockery, the water, the plants. But I think a baby like this one would sooner have a make-believe fountain than a real one, so she could play with it. What a joke it'll be for the others. But for you, alas, not quite such a joke. You who are real, baby dear, and really play by the real fountain, this big and green and beautiful with ever so many bamboos around it that are reflected in the water, and a whole lot of little ducks swimming about. No, Rosetta. No, your mother doesn't bother about you on account of that wretch of a son there. I'm in the devil of a temper. And as for that lad, what have you got there? What are you hiding? A gun? Where did you get this? Idiot! If I'd been in your place, instead of killing myself, I would have shot one of these two, or both of them, father and son.
Come on. Come on, dear. Come here for a minute now. We've arranged everything. It's all fixed up.
If you please, young lady, there are 1 or 2 points to settle still. Will you come along?
What's the good if you've arranged everything?
Oh, this is fine. It's fine. And to think I can't even get away.
And isn't it my punishment, the worst of all? My God, why are you so cruel? Isn't it enough for one person to support all this torment? Must you then insist on others seeing it also?
They want to put it on the stage. If there was at least a reason for it. He thinks he's got the meaning of it all, just as if each one of us in every circumstance in life couldn't find his own explanation of it. He complains he was discovered in a place where he ought not have been seen, in a moment of his life which he ought to have remained hidden and kept out of reach of that conversation which has to maintain for other people. What about my case? Haven't I had to reveal what no son ought to ever reveal, how mother and father live and are man and wife for themselves, quite apart from the idea of father and mother which we give them? When this idea is revealed, our life is then linked at only one point, that to that man and that woman, and such it is shame. It should shame them, shouldn't it?
Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, you there, properties?
Yes, ma'am.
Fix up the white parlor with the floral decorations. 2 wings and a drop with a door will do. Hurry up.
Sharing my screen.
Now, just have a look and see if you have a sofa or a divan in the wardrobe.
There's the green one.
No, green won't do. It was yellow, ornamented with flowers, very large and most comfortable.
There isn't one like that.
It doesn't matter. Use the one we've got.
Doesn't matter? It's most important.
We're only trying it now. Please don't interfere. See if we've got a shop window, a long, narrowish.
And the little table, the little mahogany table for the pale blue envelope.
There's the little gilt one.
That'll do fine.
A mirror.
And the screen. We must have a screen. Otherwise, how can I manage?
That's all right, miss. We've got any amount of them. Don't worry.
We want some clothes pegs too, don't we?
Yes, several.
See how many we've got and bring them all.
All right.
Look here. This is the outline of the scenes, act by act. Now I'm going to ask you to do something out of the ordinary.
Take it down in shorthand?
Well, can you touch type?
Yes, a little.
Good. You follow the scenes as we play them and try to get the points down, at any rate the most important ones. Clear the stage, properties. Come over here and listen attentively.
But excuse me, we...
Don't worry, you won't have to improvise.
What have we to do then?
Right now, nothing. For the moment, you just watch and listen. Everybody will get his part written out afterwards. At present, we're going to try the thing as best we can. They're going to act now.
We? What do you mean, if you please, by a rehearsal?
A rehearsal for them.
Well, but since we are the characters...
All right, characters then, if you insist on calling yourselves such. But here, my dear sir, the characters don't act. The actors do the acting. And the characters are there, in the book, when there is a book.
Look, I won't contradict you, but excuse me. The actors aren't the characters. They want to be, they pretend to be, don't they? Now, if these gentlemen here are fortunate enough to have us alive before them...
Oh, this is grand. You want to come before the public yourselves, then?
As we are.
I can assure you it would be a magnificent spectacle.
Well, what's the use of us here anyway, then?
You're not going to pretend that you can act. It makes me laugh. There, you see? They're laughing at the notion. But by the way, I must cast the parts. That won't be difficult. They cast themselves. Ingenue, you play the mother. I must find her a name.
Amalia, sir.
But that's the real name of your wife. You don't want to call her by her real name?
Why ever not, if it is her name? Still, perhaps, if that lady must... I'd see more this woman here as Amalia, but... Do as you like. I don't know what to say to you. Already I begin to hear my own words ring false, as if they had another sound.
Don't you worry about it. It'll be our job to find the right tones. And as for a name, if you want Amalia, Amalia it shall be. And if you don't like it, we'll find another. For the moment, though, we'll call the characters this way. Juvenile lead, you are the son. Leading lady, you naturally are the stepdaughter.
What? What? That woman there?
What is there to laugh at?
Has ever dared to laugh at me. I insist upon being treated with respect. Otherwise, I go away.
No, excuse me. I'm not laughing at you.
You ought to feel honored to be played by
that woman there.
But I wasn't speaking of you, you know. I was speaking of myself, whom I can't see in you at all. That is all. I don't know, but you aren't the least like me.
Not true. Now, here's the point. Look here, sir. Our temperaments, our souls.
Temperament, soul be hanged. Do you suppose the spirit of the piece is in you? Nothing of the kind.
What? Haven't we our own temperaments, our own souls?
Not at all. Your soul, or whatever you like to call it, takes shape here. The actors give body and form to it, voice and gesture, and my actors, I may tell you, have given expression to much more lofty material than this little drama of yours, which may or may not hold up on the stage. But if it does, the merit of it, believe me, will be due to my actors.
Now, I don't dare contradict you, sir, but believe me, it is a terrible suffering for us who are as we are, with these bodies of ours, these features to see.
Good heavens, the makeup will remedy all of that, man, the makeup.
Maybe, but the voice, the gestures.
Now look here. On the stage, you, as yourself, cannot exist. The actor here acts you, and that's an end to you.
No, I understand. And now, I think I see why our author, who conceived us as we are, all alive, didn't want to put us on the stage after all. Now, I haven't the least desire to offend your actors, far from it. But when I think that I am to be acted by, I don't know whom.
By me, if you've no objection.
Honored, I assure you, sir. But still, I must say that, try as this gentleman may, with all his goodwill and wonderful art, to absorb me into himself.
Oh, chuck it. Wonderful art. Withdraw that, please.
The performance he will give, even doing his best with makeup to look like me.
It will certainly be a rat difficult.
Exactly. It will be difficult to act me as I really am. The effect will be rather, well, apart from the makeup, according to how he supposes I am, as he senses me, if he does sense me, and not as I, inside of myself, feel myself to be. You know, it seems to me then that account should be taken of this by everyone whose duty it may be to criticize us.
Heavens, the man's starting to think about the critics now. Let them say what they like. It's up to us to put on the play if we can. Come on, come on. Is the stage set? Stand back, let me see. Let's not lose any more time. Is it all right as it is now?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't recognize the scene.
My dear lady, you can't possibly suppose that we can construct that shop of Madame Pache piece by piece here. You said a white room with flowered wallpaper, didn't you?
Yes.
Well then, we've got the furniture right, more or less. Bring that little table a bit further forward. And go and find an envelope if possible, a pale blue one, and give it to that gentleman.
An ordinary envelope?
Yes.
Yes, an ordinary envelope.
At once.
Ready, everyone? First scene, the young lady. No, you must wait. I meant her. You just watch.
How I shall play it. How I shall live it.
I shall live it also, you may be sure, as soon as I begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you please, no more useless discussions. Scene 1, the lady with Madame Pache. Oh, and this Madame Pache, where is she?
She isn't with us, sir.
Then what the devil's to be done?
But she is alive, too.
Yes, but where is she?
One minute. Let me speak. If these ladies would be so good as to give me their hats for a moment.
Our hats?
My hat?
What does he say?
What are you going to do with the ladies' hats?
Oh, nothing. I just want to put them on these pegs for a moment. And if one of the ladies would be so kind as to take off her mantle.
Only the mantle?
Just hang them.
Mad.
Yes, to hang them up here for a moment. Would be so kind, would you? Yes, exactly. So just put them there, exactly just like that, on show.
May we ask why?
Well, I'll tell you. Who knows if by arranging the stage for her, she does not come here herself, attracted by the very articles of her trade. Look. Look!
Oh, there she is. There she is.
Ah, it's she. I said so, didn't I? There she is.
What sort
What's
of
going to
trick is
happen
this?
next?
Where did she come from?
I've been holding her in reserve, I guess.
Excuse me.
I'll
Excuse
go
me.
check.
Yes, excuse me, all of you. Why are you so anxious to destroy, in the name of a vulgar, commonplace sense of truth, this reality which comes to birth attracted and formed by the magic of the stage itself, which indeed has more right to live here than you, since it is much truer than you, if you don't mind my saying so. Which is the actress among you who is to play Madame Pace? Well, here is Madame Pace herself. And you will allow, I fancy, that the actress who acts her will be less true than this woman here, who is herself in person. You see, my daughter recognized her and went over to her at once. And now you're going to witness the scene.
Well?
What did she say?
One can't hear a word.
Louder. Oh, you're muted. Louder, please.
Louder? Louder? What are you talking about? These aren't matters which can be shouted at the top of one's voice. If I have spoken them out loud, it was to shame him and have my revenge. But for Madame, it's quite a different matter.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. But in here, you know, people have got to make themselves heard, my dear. Even we who are on the stage can't hear you. What will it be when the public's in the theater? And anyway, you can very well speak up now amongst yourselves, since we shan't be present to listen to you as we are now. You've got to pretend to be alone in a room at the back of a shop where no one can hear you. What do you mean, no?
There's someone who will hear us if she speaks out loud.
What, have you got someone else to spring on us now?
No. No, sir. She's alluding to me. I've got to be here, there behind that door, in waiting. And Madame Pace knows it. In fact, if you will allow me, I'll go there at once so I can be quite ready.
No, wait. We must observe the conventions of the theater before you are ready.
No, get on with it at once. I'm just dying, I tell you, to act this scene. If he's ready, I'm more than ready.
But my dear young lady, first of all, we must have the scene between you and this lady. Do you understand?
Good heavens, she's been telling me what you know already. That Mama's work is badly done again, that the material's ruined, and that if I want her to continue to help us in our misery, I must be patient.
Yes, indeed, sir. I no want to take advantage of her. I no want to be hard.
What? She talks like that?
Yes, that's the way she talks. Half English, half Italian. Most comical it is.
It does not seem very polite. Gentlemen laugh at me when I try my best to speak English.
Oh, diamine. Of course. Let her talk like that. Just what we want. Talk just like that, madam, if you please. The effect will be certain. Exactly what was wanted, to put a little comic relief on the crudity of the situation. Of course she talks like that. Magnificent.
Magnificent? Certainly. When certain suggestions are made to one in language of that kind, the effect in certain sense it seems almost a joke. One feels inclined to laugh when one hears her talk about an old senora who wants to talk nicely with you. Nice old senor, eh, madame?
Oh, not so old, my dear, and not so old. And even if you know like him, he won't make any scandal.
You old devil! You murderess!
Calm yourself. Don't get excited. Sit down now. Sit down.
No, well then take that woman out of my sight.
It is impossible for my mother to remain here.
They can't be here together. And for this reason, you see, that woman was not there with us when we came. If they are on together, the whole thing is given away inevitably, as you see.
It doesn't matter. This is only a rough sketch, just to get an idea of the various points of the scene, even confusedly. Come along, my dear lady, and let's get on with the scene.
Come on, madame, come on.
No, No, grazie. I not do anything with your mother present.
Nonsense. Introduce this old senor who wants to talk nicely to me. We've got to do this scene one way or another, haven't we? Come on. You can go.
Yes, I go away. I go away. Certainly.
Okay. Now, you make your entry. No, you needn't go over there. Come here. Let's suppose you've already come in. Like that, yes. I'm here with head bowed, all modest-like. Come on, out with your voice. Say, "Good morning, miss," in that peculiar tone, that special one.
Excuse me, but are you the manager or am I? Get on with it, man. Go down there to the back of the stage. You needn't go off. Then come right forward here. Ready? Ready? Be ready to right now.
Good afternoon, miss.
Good afternoon.
I say, this is not the first time you have come here, is it?
No, sir.
Oh, you've been here before, eh? More than once? Well, then there's no need to be so shy, is there? May I take off your hat?
No, sir. I'll do it myself.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, give it to me. Now, I'll put it down, but oh, a dear little head like yours ought to have a smarter hat than that. Come, help me choose one from the stock, won't you?
Hey, those are our hats, you know.
Silence, silence. Don't try to be funny, if you please. We're playing the scene now, I'd have you notice. Begin again, please.
No, thank you, sir.
Oh, come now. Don't talk like that. You must take it. I shall be upset if you don't. There are some lovely little hats here, and then Madame will be pleased. She expects it anyway, you know.
No, I couldn't wear it.
Oh, you're thinking about what they'd say at home if they saw you come in with a new hat. My dear girl, there's always a way around these little matters, you know.
No, it's not that. I couldn't wear it because I am, as you can see, you might have noticed.
In mourning. Of course, I beg your pardon. I'm frightfully sorry.
No, stop. It's I who must thank you. There's no need for you to feel mortified or especially sorry. Don't think any more on what I've said. I must forget that I am dressed so.
Now, stop a minute, stop. Don't write that down. Cut out that last bit. Fine, it's going fine. Now, you can go on as we arranged. Pretty good, that scene, huh? Where he offers her the hat, eh?
The best's coming now. Why can't we go on?
Have a little patience. Of course, it must be treated lightly.
Still with a bit of go in it.
Of course, it's easy enough. Shall you and I try it now?
Why, yes, I'll prepare my entrance.
See here, the scene between you and Madame Pache is finished. I'll have it written out properly after. You remain here. Oh, where are you going?
1 minute. I want to put my hat on again.
Good. You stay here with your head bowed down a little bit.
But she isn't dressed in black.
But I shall be, and much more effectively than you.
Please be quiet and watch. You'll be able to learn something. Come on. Entrance, please.
Good afternoon, miss.
No. That was completely...
Silence. And will you just please stop with that laughing? If we go on like this, we'll never finish.
Forgive me, ma'am, but it's natural enough. This lady stands there still, but if she's supposed to be me, I can assure you that if I heard anyone say good morning in that manner and in that tone, I would burst out laughing as I did.
Yes, the manner, the tone.
Nonsense. Rubbish. Stand aside and let me see the action.
If I've got to represent an old fellow who's coming into a house of an equivocal character.
Don't listen to them, for heaven's sake. Do it again. It goes fine. Well?
Good afternoon, miss.
Good afternoon.
But I say, this is not the first time that you have come here, is it?
Good, but not quite so heavily. This isn't the first time you have come here. And you say, no, sir.
No, sir.
Ah, you've been here before. More than once.
No, stop. Let her nod yes first. You've been here before, eh?
Oh my God.
What's the matter?
Nothing.
Go on.
You've been here before, eh? Well, then there's no need to be so shy, is there? May I take off your hat?
I'm not going to stop here to be made a fool of by that woman there.
Neither am I. I'm through with it.
Silence! Once and for all, I tell you.
Forgive me.
You haven't any manners. That's what it is. You go too far.
Yes, it's true, but excuse her.
Excuse what? It's absolutely disgusting.
Yes, but sir, but believe me, it has such a strange effect when...
Strange? Why strange? Where is it strange?
Well, no, sir. I admire your actors. This gentleman here, this lady, but they are certainly not us.
I should hope not. Evidently, they cannot be you, since they are actors.
Well, just so. Actors. Both of them act our parts exceedingly well, but believe me, it produces quite a different effect on us. They want to be us, but they aren't. All the same.
What is it then, anyway?
Something that is theirs and no longer ours.
But naturally, inevitably, I've told you so already.
Yes, I understand. I understand, but it...
Then let's have no more of it. We'll have the rehearsals by ourselves afterwards in the ordinary way. Never could stand rehearsing with the author present. He's never satisfied. Come on, let's get on with it again and try and see if you can't keep from laughing.
I shan't laugh anymore. I was trying to be quiet. There's a nice bit coming for you now. You'll see.
Well then, when she says, don't think any more of what I've said, I must forget, etc., you come in sharp with, I understand, and then you ask her...
What?
Why she is in mourning.
No, not at all. See here. When I told him that it was useless for me to be thinking about wearing mourning, do you know how he answered me? Well, he said, then let's just take off this little frock.
Great. Just what we want, to make a riot in the theater.
But it's the truth.
What does that matter? Acting is our business here. Truth up to a point, but no further.
What do you want to do then?
You'll see. Leave it to me.
No, ma'am. What you want to do is piece together a little romantic, sentimental scene out of my disgust. Out of all the reasons, each more cruel and viler than the other, why I am the way I am. He is to ask me why I am in mourning, and I'm to answer with tears in my eyes that it was just 2 months since Papa died. No, ma'am, no. He's got to say to me, as he did, well, let's take off this little dress at once. And I, with 2 months mourning in my heart, went there behind the screen, and with these fingers tingling from shame.
For heaven's sake, what are you saying?
The truth. The truth.
It may be, I don't deny it, and I can understand all of your horror, but you surely must see that we can't have this sort of thing on the stage. It won't go.
Not possible, eh? Very well. I'm much obliged to you, but I'm off.
Now be reasonable. Don't lose your temper.
I won't stop here. I won't. I can see you fixed it all up with him in your office. All this talk about what is possible for the stage. I understand. He wants to get in on his complicated cerebral drama, to have his famous remorses and tormented acted. But I want to act my part. My part!
Ah, just your part. But if you will pardon me, there are parts other than yours. His and hers. On the stage, you can't have an actor becoming too prominent and overshadowing all the others. The thing is to pack them all into a neat little framework and then act what is actable. I am aware of the fact that everyone has his own interior life, which he very much wants to put forward, but the difficulty lies in this fact. To set out just so much as is necessary for the stage, taking the other characters into consideration, and at the same time hint at the unrevealed interior life of each. I am willing to admit, my dear young lady, that from your point of view, it would be a fine idea if each character could tell the public all his troubles in a nice monologue or a regular 1-hour lecture. You must restrain yourself, my dear, and in your own interest too, because this fury of yours, this exaggerated disgust you show, may make a bad impression, you know. After you have confessed to me that there were others before him at Madame Pache's, and more than once.
It's true, but remember those others mean him and for me all the same.
What, the others? How do you mean?
For one who has gone wrong, ma'am, he who is responsible for the first fault is responsible for all that follow. He is responsible for my faults, was even before I'm born. Look at him and tell me it isn't true.
Well, and does the weight of so much responsibility seem nothing to you? Give him a chance to act it, to get it over.
How? How can he act all his noble remorses, all his moral torments, if you want to spare him the horror of being discovered one day, after he had asked her what he did ask her, in the arms of her, that already fallen woman, that child, ma'am, that child he used to watch come out of school. At present, we are unknown to the public. Tomorrow, you will act us as you wish, treating us in your own manner. But do you really want to see drama? Do you want to see it flesh out as it really did?
Of course, that's just what I do want, so I can use as much of it as is possible.
Well, then ask that mother leave us.
No, don't permit it, ma'am. Don't permit it.
But it's only to try it.
No, I can't bear it. I can't.
But since it's happened already, I don't understand.
It's taking place now. It happens all the time. My torment isn't a pretended one. I live and feel every minute of my torture. Those 2 children there, have you heard them speak? They can't speak anymore. They cling to me to keep my torment actual and vivid for me. But for themselves, they do not exist. They aren't anymore. And she has run away. She has left me and is lost. If I now see her here before me, it is only to renew for me the tortures I have suffered for her too.
The eternal moment. She is here to catch me, fix me, and hold me eternally in the stocks for that one fleeting and shameful moment of my life. She can't give it up. And you, sir, cannot either fairly spare me it.
I didn't say I didn't want to act it. It will form, as a matter of fact, the nucleus of the whole first act, right up to her surprise.
Just so. This is my punishment. The passion in all of us that must culminate in her final cry.
Still hear it in my ears. It's driven me mad, that cry. You can put me on as you like, it doesn't matter. Fully dressed if you like, provided I have at least the bare arms, because standing like this, with my head so and my arms around his neck, I saw a vein pulsing in my arm there. And then, as if that live vein had awakened disgust in me, I closed my eyes like this and let my head sink on his breast. Cry out, mother! Cry out! Cry out as you did then!
No, my daughter. My daughter. You brute. You brute. She is my daughter. Don't you see? She's my daughter.
Fine. Damned good. And then, of course, curtain.
Yes, of course, because that's the way it really happened.
Oh, yes, no doubt about it. Curtain here. Curtain. That damned idiot. I said curtain to show the act should end there, and he goes and lets it down in earnest. Yes, it's all right. Effect certain, that's the right ending. Guarantee the first act, at any rate. Ah, yes, the second act. Leave it to me, leave it all to me as we arrange. It'll go fine, you'll see.
Our entry into the house, in spite of him.
Leave it to me, I tell you.
Do let it be clear, at any rate, that it is in spite of my wishes.
For all the good that's come of it.
It doesn't matter. The more harm done us, the more remorse for him.
I understand. Good heavens, I understand. I'm taking it into account.
I beg you, ma'am, to let it appear quite plain that for conscience sake I did try in every way.
To pacify me, to dissuade me from spiting him. Do as she wants, satisfy her, because it is true. I enjoy it immensely. Anyhow, as you can see, the meeker she is, the more she tries to get at his heart, the more distant and aloof he becomes.
Are we going to begin this second act or not?
I'm not going to talk anymore now, but I must tell you this. You can't have the whole action take place in the garden, as you suggest. It's not possible.
Why not?
Because he is always shut up alone in his room, and then there's all the part about that poor dazed-looking boy there, which takes place indoors.
Maybe. On the other hand, you will understand, we can't change scenes 3 or 4 times in one act.
Well, they used to once.
Yes, when the public was up to the level of that child there.
It makes the illusion easier.
The illusion? Oh, for heaven's sake, don't say illusion. Please don't use that word which is particularly painful to us.
And why, if you please?
No, it is painful, cruel, really cruel, and you ought to understand that.
But why? What ought we to say then? The illusion, I tell you, sir, which we've got to create for the audience.
With our acting.
And the illusion of a reality.
I understand, but you perhaps do not understand us. Forgive me. You see, here, for you and your actors, the thing is only, and rightly so, a kind of game.
A game? We're not children here, if you please. We are serious actors.
I don't deny it. What I mean is the game or play of your art, which has to give, as the gentleman says, a perfect illusion of reality.
Precisely.
Now, but if you consider the fact that we are, as we are, have no other reality outside of this illusion.
And what does that mean?
As I say, sir, that which is a game of art for you is our sole reality. But not only for us, you know, by the way. Just you think it over well. Can you tell me who you are?
What? Who I am? I am myself.
And if I were to tell you that that isn't true, because you are I
should say you were mad.
Well, yes, you're quite right to laugh, because we are all making believe here. And you can therefore object that it's only for a joke that that gentleman there, who is naturally himself, has to be me, who am, on the contrary, myself. This thing you see here, you see? Ha! There, I've caught you in a trap.
But we've had this all over once before. You want to begin again?
No, that wasn't my meaning. In fact, I should like to request you to abandon this game of art, which you are accustomed to playing here with your actors, and to ask you seriously, once again, who are you?
As if this fellow hasn't got a nerve. A man who calls himself a character comes and asks me who I am.
A character, sir, may always ask a man who he is, because a character has really a life of his own, marked with his special characteristics, for which reason he is always somebody. But a man, well, I'm not speaking of you now, may very well be nobody.
Yes, but you are asking these questions of me, the boss, the manager. Do you understand?
Yes, but only in order to know if you, as you really are now, see yourself as you once were, with all the illusions that were yours then. with all the things both inside and outside of you as they seem to you, as they were indeed for you. Well, sir, if you think all of those illusions that mean nothing to you now, of all those things which don't even seem to you to exist anymore, while once they were for you, don't you feel that, well, I won't say these boards, but the very earth under your feet is sinking away from you when you reflect in that same way, this you, as you feel it today, all this present reality of yours is fated to seem a mere illusion to you tomorrow.
Well, and where does all this take us anyway?
Oh, nowhere. It's only to show you that if we have no other reality beyond the illusion, you too must not count over much on your reality as you feel it today, since, like that of yesterday, it may prove an illusion for you tomorrow.
Ah, excellent. And then you'll be saying next that you, with this comedy of yours that you brought here to act, are truer and more real than I am.
But of course, without doubt.
Oh, really?
What? I thought you would understand that from the beginning.
More real than I.
Now, if your reality can change from one day to another.
But everyone knows it can change. It's always changing, the same as anyone else's.
No, sir. Not ours. Look here, that is the very difference. Our reality doesn't change. It can't change. It can't be any other than what it is because it is already fixed forever. It's terrible. Ours is an immutable reality which should make you shudder when you approach us. If you are really conscious of the fact that your reality is a mere transitory and fleeting illusion taking this form today and that tomorrow, according to the conditions, according to your will, your sentiments, which in turn are controlled by an intellect that shows them to you today in one manner and tomorrow, who knows how? Illusions of reality represented in this fatuous comedy of life that never ends, nor can ever end, because if tomorrow were to end, then why all would be finished.
Oh, for God's sake, will you at least finish with this philosophizing and let us try to shape this comedy which you yourself have brought me here? You argue and philosophize a bit too much, my dear sir. You know, you seem to me almost. By the way, I think you introduced yourself to me as what shall we say, a character created by an author who did not afterward care to make a drama of his own creations?
It's the simple truth, sir.
Nonsense. Cut that out. None of us believes it because it isn't a thing, as you must recognize yourself, which one can seriously believe. If you want to know, it seems to me you are trying to imitate the manner of a certain author whom I heartily detest. I warn you, although I have unfortunately bound myself to put on one of his works. As a matter of fact, I was just starting to rehearse it when you arrived. And this is what we've gained. Out of the frying pan and into the fire.
I don't know to what author you may be alluding, but believe me, I feel what I think. And I seem to be philosophizing only for those who do not think what they feel, because they blind themselves with their own sentiment. I know that for many people, this self-blinding seems much more human. But the contrary is really true. For man never reasons so much and becomes so introspective as when he suffers. Since he is anxious to get at the cause of his sufferings, to learn who has produced them, and whether it is just or unjust that he should have to bear them. On the other hand, when he is happy, he takes his happiness as it comes and doesn't analyze it, just as if happiness were his right. The animals suffer without reasoning about their sufferings. But take the case of a man who suffers and begins to reason about it. Oh, no, it can't be allowed. Let him suffer like an animal. And then, oh, yes, he is human.
Look here, you're off again, philosophizing worse than ever.
Because I suffer, sir. I'm not philosophizing. I'm crying aloud the reason of my sufferings.
I should like to know if anyone has ever heard of a character who gets right out in front in his part and perorates and speechifies as you do. Have you ever heard of a case? I haven't.
Well, you have never met such a case, sir, because authors, as a rule, hide the labor of their creations. When the characters are really alive before their author, the latter does nothing but follow them in their action, in their words, in the situations which they suggest to him. And he has to will them in the way they will themselves, for there's trouble if he doesn't. When a character is born, he acquires at once such an independence, even of his own author, that he can be imagined by everybody, even in many other situations where the author never dreamed of placing him. And so he acquires for himself a meaning which the author never thought of giving him.
Yes, I know this.
Well, then what is there to marvel at in us? Imagine such a misfortune for characters as I have described to you. To be born of an author's fantasy and to be denied life by him. And then answer me if these characters, left alive and yet without life, weren't right in doing what they did do and are doing now, after they have attempted everything in their power to persuade him to give them their stage life. We've all tried him in turn. I, she, and she.
It's true. I too have sought to tempt him many, many times. When he's been sitting at his writing table, feeling a bit melancholy at the twilight hour, he would sit at his armchair, too lazy to switch on the light, and all the shadows that crept into this room were full of our presence coming to tempt him. Oh, if only you would go away. Go away and leave us alone. Mother here and that son of hers, I with that child, that boy, they're always alone, and then I with him, and then I alone in those shadows. Oh, my life, and what scenes we proposed to him, and I tempted him more than any others.
Maybe. But perhaps it was your fault that he refused to give us life. Perhaps you were too insistent, too troublesome.
Nonsense. Didn't he make me so himself? In my opinion, he abandoned us all in a fit of depression, of disgust for the ordinary theater as the public knows it and wants it.
Exactly what it is, ma'am. Exactly that.
Not at all. Don't believe it for a minute. You listen to me. You'll be doing quite right to modify, as you suggest, the excesses of both this girl here who wants to do too much and of this young man who won't do anything at all.
No, nothing.
You too get over the mark occasionally, my dear sir, if I may say so.
I? When? Where?
Ways. Continually. Then there's this insistence of yours in trying to make us believe you are a character. And then, too, you must really argue and philosophize less, much less.
Well, if you want to take away from me the possibility of representing the torment of my spirit, which never gives me peace, you will be suppressing me. That's all. Every true man, sir, who is little above the level of the beasts and plants, does not live for the sake of living without knowing how to live. But he lives so as to give a meaning and a value to his own life. For me, this is everything. I cannot give up this, just to represent a mere fact as she wants. Oh, it's all very well for her, for since her vendetta lies in the fact. No, I'm not going to do it. It destroys my raison d'etre.
Your raison d'etre. Oh, we're going ahead fine. First she starts off and then you jump in. At this rate, we'll never finish.
Now, don't be offended. Have it your own way. Provided, however, that within the limits of the parts you assign us, each one's sacrifice isn't too great.
You've got to understand that you can't go on arguing at your own pleasure. Drama is action, sir. Action, and not confounded philosophy.
All right. I'll do just as much arguing and philosophizing as everybody does when he is considering his own torments.
If the drama permits. But for heaven's sakes, man, let's get along and come to the scene.
It seems to me we've got too much action with our coming into his house. You said before we couldn't change the scene every 5 minutes.
Of course not. What we've got to do is combine and group up all the facts in one simultaneous, close-knit action. We can't have it as you want, with your little brother wandering like a ghost from room to room, hiding behind doors and meditating a project which, what did you say it did to him?
Consumes him, sir. Wastes him away.
Well, it may be. And then at the same time, you want the little girl to be there, to be playing in the garden? One in the house, the other in the garden. Isn't that it?
Yes. In the sun, in the sun. That is my only pleasure. To see her happy and careless in the garden after the misery and squalor of the horrible room where we all four slept together. And I had to sleep with her. Do you understand? With my vile, contaminated body next to hers, with her folding me fast in her loving little arms. In the garden, whenever she spied me, she would run up and take my hand. She didn't care for the big flowers, only the little ones. She loved to show them to me and pet me.
Well then, we'll have it in the garden. Everything shall happen in the garden, and then we'll group the other scenes there. Here, a back cloth with trees and something to do as a fountain basin. You fixed it up. Good. This is just to give an idea, of course. The boy, instead of hiding behind the doors, will wander about here in the garden, hiding behind the trees. But it's going to be rather difficult to find a child to do that scene with you, where she shows you the flowers. Come forward a little, will you please? Let's try it now. Come along, come along. It's a nice business, this lad here. What's the matter with him? We'll have to give him a word or two to say. Come on. Let's see you a little. Hide. There. Yes, like that. Try to show your head just a little, as if you were looking for someone. Excellent. Fine. Suppose the little girl there were to surprise him as he looks round and run over to him so we could give him a word or two to say.
It's useless to hope he will speak. As long as that fellow there is here, you must send him away first.
Delighted. I don't ask for anything better.
No, where are you going? Wait a bit.
I've got nothing to do with this affair. Let me go. Please let me go.
What do you mean by saying you've got nothing to do with this?
Don't bother to stop him. He won't go away.
He has to act the terrible scene in the garden with his mother.
I shall act nothing at all. I've said so from the very beginning. Let me go.
Allow me. Well, then go if you want to. You see, he can't. He can't go away. He is obliged to stay here, indissolubly bound to the chain. If I, who can fly off when that happens, which has to happen because I can't bear him, if I am still here and support that face and expression of his, you can well imagine he is unable to move. No, he has to remain here, has to stop with that nice father of his and that mother whose only son he is. Come on, mother, run along. You see, she who is getting to keep him back. Come on, come on. You can imagine how little she wants to show these actors of yours what she really feels. But so eager is she to get near him that, there, you see? She is willing to act her part.
No. If I can't go away, then I'll stop here. But I repeat, I act nothing.
You can force him, sir.
Nobody can force me.
I can.
Wait a minute. First of all, the baby has to go to the fountain.
Yes, of course, that's it. Both at the same time.
What do you mean by both at the same time? It isn't right. There was no scene between me and her. Ask her how it was.
Yes, it's true. I had come into his room.
Into my room? Do you understand? Nothing to do with the garden.
It doesn't matter. Haven't I told you we've got to group the action?
What do you want?
Nothing. I was just looking at you.
She's at a to react her part.
Exactly, and it seems to me that you ought to be grateful to them for their interest.
Yes, but haven't you perceived that it isn't possible to live in front of a mirror which not only freezes us with the image of ourselves, but throws our likeliness back at us with a horrible grimace?
That is true. Absolutely true. You must see that.
He's right. Move away from them.
Do as you like. I'm out of this.
Be quiet, will you? And let me hear your mother. You were saying that you had entered.
Yes, into his room, because I couldn't stand it any longer. I went to empty my heart to him of all the anguish that tortures me. But as soon as he saw me come in...
Nothing happened. There was no scene. I went away. That's all. I don't care for the scenes.
It's true. It's true. That's how it was.
Well, now we've got to do this bit between you and him. It's indispensable.
I'm ready. When you are ready. If you could only find a chance for me to tell him what I feel here in my heart.
You will do this for your mother. Do you understand? For your mother!
I do nothing.
Oh, for God's sake, you will do as I tell you. Do you hear your mother asking you for a favor? Have you even got the guts to be a son?
No! For God's sake, stop or else...
Please.
No, you have got to obey. Do you hear me?
What does this mean, the madness that you have? Have you no decency that you insist on showing everyone our shame? I won't do it. I won't. I'll stand for the will of our author in this. He didn't want to put us on the stage after all.
Man alive, you came here.
He did, I didn't.
Aren't you here now?
It was his wish, and he dragged us along with him. He's told you not only the things that did happen, but things that never happened at all.
Well, then tell me what did happen. You went out of your room without saying a word.
Without a word, so as to avoid a scene.
And then what did you do?
Nothing. Walking into the garden.
Well, walking in the garden.
Why on earth do you insist? It's horrible.
The baby?
There, in the fountain.
She was following him at the moment.
And then you...
I ran over to her. I was jumping in to drag her out when I saw something that froze my blood. The boy there standing stuck still, eyes like a madman, watching his little sister drown in the fountain. Then...
My son! My son! Help! Help!
Is he really wounded?
He's dead. Dead.
Oh, no, it's only make-believe. It's only pretense.
Pretense? Reality, sir. Reality.
Pretense, reality, to hell with it all. Never in my life has such a thing happened to me. I've lost a whole day over these people. A whole day!
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for 6 Characters in Search of an Author by Luigi Pirandello. We hope that if you are interested in volunteering to work with us in Pandemic Players, that you visit us at our Facebook group, Pandemic Players Community. That's the Facebook group where we solicit volunteers and, of course, auditions to join us for one of our casts. At this point, we can announce some of our upcoming plays. Next Saturday, we will be performing A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen. On 2nd of May, Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare. On 9 May, we have The Adding Machine by Elmer Rice. And on 16 May, Trojan Women by Euripides. We're very excited for these upcoming productions, and we look forward to seeing some of you, I think, auditioning. Please join us at Pandemic Players Community. You will find audition information at that site. Of course, at this time, I'm going to remind you that this evening's production was done in support of our good friends at Fells Point Corner Theater. If you are feeling like this is a time that you would be interested in supporting them, please either go to our Facebook site, just Pandemic Players on Facebook, and you will find at the top of that page a link from which you can donate to that group. If you are not on Facebook, of course, you can go to Fells Point Corner Theater. They have options to donate to them directly there. Thank you so much for the support. The outreach that we have had from the community has been just staggering for us. The amount of support that has been given to the local theaters is something that those of us that set up this project just never dreamed would reach the level that it did. So thank you very much to each and every one of you out there. And with that, we will see you next week. Pandemic Players out.